Okay, y'all, welcome to the New Luminaries podcast. I don't know what episode this is, but this is whatever episode it needs to be for you to get this information. And if you haven't seen my channel before, you haven't seen any of my teachings before, my name is Yannick Medor. I'm an executive coach, and my goal this year is to help people, specifically women, get back on their authentic path, their God-given path. And right now, if you're watching this in 2024, this year I'm helping people return to Eden, meaning getting back to the place where their life has flow, where their life is in plenty, where they're not in these desolate, dry places where their energy feels depleted and they lack motivation and all those things. And you can get there. I know life may feel like you're far away from that point, but you absolutely can get there. And we're going to give you, and I'm going to give you a few different tools so that you can do so. So the first thing I want you to think about is God blesses us individually so we can bless the nations. We receive individual blessings so we can bless the nations. Now, some of y'all like, look, I'm trying to bless my closet. I'm trying to bless this garage. I'm trying to bless this. I need to go from a 2-door garage to a 3-door. I'm trying to bless this bank account, this portfolio, all of those things. And guess what? You can have all of those things, but the number one purpose is to bless a person is to go ahead and bless the nations. And you can give an example, and you can see so many examples of that. You know, you have the example of Abraham, Moses, Sarah, Daniel, Jesus. God answered all of their prayers, and as a result, they all had generational and international impact. And sometimes we don't move far enough ahead in life, or we don't push for enough because we don't understand that we were created to have generational and international impact, right? And every single one of us was called to subdue. Subdue just means to govern, to rule, to create order. Some of y'all are like, I don't create. Look, I don't want peace. I want problems. Okay, whatever. Did y'all see that with the guy? I don't want peace. I want problems. But no, your goal is to govern, and govern the way that God would govern something. That doesn't mean, so meaning you're not going in places and wrecking the whole thing, turning furniture over. You got an attitude. You got to tell people what's on your mind. All of those things. No, you were governed. You were meant to govern the way that God would govern. And so, and even this, some of you all are working for people because it's your calling to subdue them and to subdue that situation. Do you know that there's certain people that work close to maybe the president, CEOs, governors, generals, and people in high places just to help keep their crazy down? And that if they weren't in those positions, all of us would be in trouble. Like if they weren't there, politicians will be pressing the red button everywhere. There'd be nuclear war everywhere. And there's certain people that are called to subdue CEOs and influential figures, and that because you're on assignment and you're doing your thing, everyone else gets to benefit from it. And because of your work and because of your pouring, nations and generations are being impacted. Because you can impact the CEO and bless an entire community when they decide to continue to invest in the business or expand or to create more jobs or take on a new contract that would create more jobs. So I'm saying that to say everyone has something to do and something important to strive for. And so I hope that by the end of this, you don't give up, especially if you may be currently in a dry season, or what I'm speaking about today, currently a fertilization period. And so what I've noticed, especially for the people that are working with me in my small group, if you haven't been in my small group, you haven't heard of it, click the link in the bio. It's called the New Luminaries. And what I'm doing is making sure that I'm imparting information and pouring into them, because I know that God is fertilizing us this year. And so, and let me tell you about this too. When you think about generational curses or generational impact, you also need to think about generational curses. Now, some of y'all are struggling with the idea that you can have generational impact and that you can positively impact generations, but you can see it very easily in reverse. For instance, if someone wants to curse you, or if the enemy wants to curse you, or one of his minions or something like that, it's going to impact every generation you touch. So let's say you have, the curse of anger or violence or drunkenness or something like that. It's not going to just impact you. It's going to impact your children, their kids, and their kids, most likely because this behavior is going to be passed down until someone says no more. Someone can decide to bring drugs into a community. And that person or that group of people who bring, illicit substances into a community, you're going to see generational impact. Where for maybe 20, 30, 40, 50, in some communities, 100 years later, we're still seeing the impact of someone bringing illicit substances, into that community. And so, and this is the thing. If the enemy curses you, he's cursing you, your employees, your children, your spouse, your family, your friends, your government, because everyone that's within our network is impacted. It's like the butterfly effect. I know you guys all saw that movie, right? Or at least read the book. If not, pick it up, pull it up. It's something. And so the same way that a curse can have a generational impact, I'm challenging you to believe and to know that your blessing will have a generational impact. Your gift will have a generational impact, and a positive one at that. And so, and what I'm going to use to really illustrate this is Luke 13:6. And it says, a man planted a fig tree in his garden and came again to see if there was any fruit on it, but was always disappointed. Lord, if that hasn't been God looking at my life in so many different seasons of life, where it's like, look, I know I gave this girl this gift. I gave her the plan. I gave her the structure. I even paved the road for her to walk, but all she wanted to do was go to the club. All she wanted to do was go to the club and take shots. What is going on, right? So, and finally, I'm going back to the scripture again. Finally, he said to his gardener, I've waited 3 years and there hasn't been a single fig. Come and cut it down. So this is where he's like, you know what? I'm walking away. Just let it get locked up. Go ahead. I'm going to let you have it. Since that's what you want so bad, I'm going to let you go on ahead and have it. That's the Yannick version. That's the Yannick Mador version. Okay. And so he says, I've waited 3 years. There hasn't been a single fig. Cut it down. It's just taking up space in the garden. Have y'all ever seen that? People in meetings, people in your life, to where they're not doing anything. They're just taking up space. They're just in your section. They're not buying anything. They're not doing anything. They're just taking up space. They're just breathing air. They're not contributing. They're not doing anything. They're just taking up space. And the gardener answered, Sir, give it one more chance. Leave it another year, and I'll give it special attention and plenty of fertilizer. And if we get figs next year, fine. If not, you can cut it down, meaning we're giving an extension of time. And many of us, and I know I am, and I know the people in our group are, we may not have started perfectly on the right path, but God is giving us time and he's fertilizing us. And this is really important because, one, God said his word would not come back void, meaning whatever it is that he put on your life, he says, I'm going to get that out of your life. And sometimes the pressure that we feel in our businesses, in our households, in our lives, things of that nature, is God saying, look, I'm applying pressure because I said this thing will not come back void. I don't care if it takes you until 85 to do it. Whatever the plan is, whatever your purpose is in life, I'm going to apply pressure until I get that thing back. And so he's made many promises about our lives, about who we are, what we're to accomplish in his will for us, and also for our future generations. And so there comes these times to where, for one reason or another, we're not bearing fruit. The good things that are in us are not coming out of us. They got buried somewhere. Maybe someone tried to snatch it away. Maybe we lost focus. Maybe we've lost our confidence. Maybe we're dealing with insecurity or double-mindedness, to where one day we're focused and we're doing the right thing. The next thing we want to be a thug, or whatever that thing is, right? On Monday you want to be Michelle Obama. On Tuesday you want to be a city girl. Whatever that is, there's times where we've just gotten off. Sometimes we just get caught in the weeds. And what the weeds are just the different problems in life that take up all of our focus, and we worry about them so much, and we just put them right in the front that we end up missing the big picture. It's like standing in front of a bush, but there's like this beautiful mountain and garden and spring that's in front of you. Getting caught in the weeds makes you look at the weeds. And I'm going to say this right now. If you have weeds in your life, just pray about it. There's so many times where I'll ask God, what do you want me to do with this? And I'll either get an answer directly, or I'll log online or on YouTube or something like that, and someone will give me the exact answer that I was looking for. Sometimes it's stubbornness. There's been so many times where I've been on the wrong path, but I really wanted it to work. And let me tell you, flow does not come until you decide to get on God's path. Now, this is the thing. The enemy will give you flow as long as you're doing his will. So if you're creating all kind of catastrophes and you're doing people wrong and you're just creating more evil and more just negative cycles in the world, he'll fund it until you can no longer do it anymore. We see in the news right now, I don't even want to name drop, but we're seeing in the news right now all over of what happens when the enemy will let you do his will and will fund it. And then when that runs out, just will throw you away like it's nothing. But God doesn't do that. And so because of God's grace, even when we come out of times where we weren't bearing fruit, and I'm going to say this, there are people who are very perfect and they do everything right and they made all the right decisions and blah, 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 blah. And I love them because they provide a great example of what's possible. But I think there's more of us. There's more of us. People who are relatable, who did everything 10 shades wrong. Look, friend, if you email me and you're like, look, I have something I need you to help me with, but you're afraid to say it, I'm not going to judge you because I've probably done it. And if I haven't done it, I thought about it, or I messed it up, I did something. So I tell people, look, whatever it is, I probably did it. Just name something. And so there's more of us than them, of people that are being redeemed, that are getting back on the good foot, that are doing their thing, cleaning up their lives and then pushing forward. And I believe that once we do that, we move forward at 200 miles per hour because we already know what's on the other side. So we don't even guess like, should I be? No, I already know what's over there. I'm focused and free in this moment. All right. So this is what fertilizer is. Fertilizer is a natural or artificial substance containing the elements that will improve the growth and productiveness of plants. And what it does is it enhances the natural fertility of the soil or replace the elements taken from the soil by previous crops. So when God says he's going to fertilize us, right? It's not that he's doing and he's giving you something you don't already have. No, he's putting back the things in us that in some form or fashion were taken away or got away from us. So, maybe you feel like your energy's depleted and you've gone through a tough season where your energy's depleted. No, you already had the energy. You had the right energy. It's just something kind of sucked it away and he's putting it back into you. Or you may say, I'm not a creative person. Yes, you are. You just went through a season in life that kind of sucked your creativity away. Maybe it was stress. Maybe it was anxiety. Maybe it was something with your mental health. Whatever it is, it kind of took away from that side of you that was very creative. It's still in there. He's just fertilizing it. And so the beauty about being fertilized is it builds you up to be able to sustain your gift. Now, and I hate putting this on YouTube when I'm not going to drop names because I think they're all in process. And I've learned every person that I think is just so far out of reach and I say something about God often brings those people right to my face, and probably because of my husband, but he brings them right to my face and really makes me face my judgments. And so I've learned not to judge or drop names, because we're all in process, whether you way up here or you whatever, right? But have you guys ever seen people that are extremely gifted, but because they didn't allow God to put them through this fertilization process, they cannot sustain the gift? Meaning the gift is weightier than they are. And so instead of the gift blessing them, it seems like the gift overwhelms their life. Here come my little dog. She's always trying to sneak in. So it seems like the gift just overwhelms their life. And, you know, God says every perfect gift comes from him. And one of the things that he does is bring us to a place of balance. Meaning he's not going to give a 12-year-old or 14-year-old a Lamborghini, because they'll kill themselves. He'll allow you to mature and to grow and to develop, so you can sustain the gift and so you can sustain the purpose. And once we're really ready and we get focused, typically when we're ready to make a change, he's going to put us through a fertilization process to make sure that we're fully equipped to take hold of what it is we need to do. So what's included in that? The fertilization process can include our character, right? You might need to learn how to be more obedient. You may need to learn how to tell the truth even when it's difficult. You may need to learn how to go through tough times even when it's not convenient. You know, there's just certain parts of your character that may need to be strengthened. That may be part of your fertilization process. It's like, look, I'm not going to give you this $100 million gift and this character is going to get you, 15 years in federal prison for tax evasion. I'm not going to do that. So let me get you fertilized to where you're learning, okay, well, while you're making this, let's get these taxes together. Let's get this debt together. Let's get this spending together, and let's get your relationship with money, or your relationship with success, or your relationship with other people's opinions of you, which should be at zero, because the only person whose opinion counts is God's opinion. And let me tell you this, the real person whose attention you need to get in life is God's attention. Once you have God's attention, you have everything. Everyone else will just come with it. Because not all attention is good attention either, right? So it may be that. You may need to get your strength together. There's been times where I felt like I was softer than medicated cotton. Can't take any pressure. Can't take any trial, any trouble. And guess what? Leaders and people who are running things are also people who deal with problems. People are like, I'm a queen, I'm a king, But what they don't forget is people always come to who with their problems? If there's a problem in the nation, guess who they go to? They go to the king. They go to the queen. And they expect a resolution, no matter what time it is. So you've got to, your fertilization process may be God just strengthening you a little bit, so that way you don't fall under that pressure. And so he may let you endure different types of trials, but that gets into the next thing. Sometimes it's just giving us the support that we need. Sometimes the fertilization process is improving our character, improving our strength, improving our wisdom, improving our relationship with him. And when we do all of those things, typically he also will bring in the people that help us to bring this to life. So, the fertilization process will help you attract the right partners in business, or the right partners in your relationships, and, all of these different things. So I'm going to make this pretty quick. Here are some of the ways that God fertilizes us. The first one is going through trials. Just going through some tough times. Just like working out. You got to lift some weights if you want to get strong. You can't hold on to those 3 pounds forever. You hold on to those 3 pounds forever, friend, you're going to be weak your whole life. You got to go from 3 to 5 to 10 to 15 to 25. And it's not going to kill you. I told one of my students the other day, I said, your legs aren't going to give out, I promise. Your legs were built to walk miles on miles on miles on miles. Cars are only maybe 100-something years old. So before then, we were on the 1s and 2s. Your legs are not going to give out. You were built for it. Same way you were built to be able to go through something and not fold. So yeah, trials, getting through that. The second thing is the words and promises of God. And what they do is they keep you from feeling hopeless. So it's like you're going through these trials, you're going through things, and he's telling you, hey, you're the head and not the tail. You're above and not beneath. You are, fearfully and wonderfully made. I have good plans for you. And it's just all these different things that he'll drop to us, either from the actual word, the Bible, or sometimes just drop in our spirit. There's times where I'm thinking about something and God will show me something. I'm just like, oh, you're right. Or a song will come on and it's like, okay, everything's going to be fine. And the beautiful thing is when you get through those trials and you've been using the word, it's like you still have everything intact. If you try to go through trials and you don't fall back on the word and you don't fall back on your faith, you'll look like what you've been through. You ever see people that survive something, but they look like they survived something? When you go through a trial with God, you don't even look like what you've been through. Sometimes it's through people. Put in the right person in your life that can help you redirect your thoughts and your actions and your ideals. That is beautiful. And the fertilization process may bring you to different mentors or teachers that are just going to walk you through the things that maybe you've lost and that you forgot you had. And this is important too, because, our first mentors are our parents. But our parents can only give us what they have or what they had. So that should open up some forgiveness for some of y'all. Your family can only give you what they have. And so when you're going through this fertilization process and, God is like, oh, the student has appeared. Next thing you know, you'll get the right people coming into your life to drop these seeds. Why? God does not believe in throwing pearls at pigs. Meaning, now I'm saying you're the pearl. And especially after going through this process, you're the pearl. He's not going to throw you in someone's life that's not going to appreciate you. That's another thing. If you're finding yourself in places and spaces where you're like, people have zero appreciation, you're probably in the wrong space. But, seek God on that. So he'll bring the right people, the right mentors, the right friends, the right network, the right everything. And let me tell you something about people. Never, never, ever, ever, ever push to get within certain circles. There was a time, maybe it was a few years ago, where I was like, look, I'm trying to expand my business. I'm trying to expand my brand. And it just felt like people were not embracing me. And I remember, I was like, I don't remember where I was, but I remember saying, I think I was in the bedroom. Either way, I was like, God, why does it feel like I'm having such a hard time getting in these circles? And I immediately heard, you're not getting in these circles because these circles have a pentagram in the middle of them. What? And so he was actually protecting me, because those same circles of the cool kids, of the powerful, the who's who, the whatever, you know how people try to push, and I live in Atlanta, so that happens often. People are just trying to get within certain networks, do certain things. And he's like, those networks have pentagrams on the middle of them, meaning the enemy is in the circle of this. He's the one that's directing the circle. And if I would have pushed to get in there, I probably would have been used, abused, and everything else, to where it would have taken me years to regain my trust in humanity or my trust in people. And I need to be in a place of flow. I need to be trustful. I need to be vulnerable. I need to do all of these things to attract what it is that God has for me. So never do that. And so when you're in that fertilization process, he'll bring the people into your life. If you're Elisha, he'll bring you an Elijah, someone that's going to model what it is that you're supposed to be doing, so that's really, really important. Because even when you think about the disciples, God brought Jesus to the disciples. They're the ones who got the opportunity. Other things that will, ways that God will fertilize us is just through our questions and our pursuit of understanding. Because if you notice, like all throughout the Bible too, and in life, sometimes it's like you never got the answer because you never asked. And even the word says you have not because you ask not. So while, you're going through this process where it feels like nothing's happening, something is happening. You're being fertilized. Why? Because God's not going to just put you out there in the middle of your dream, put you out there in front of all these people without the equipment, without being strengthened, without the wisdom, without the knowledge. And so sometimes your desire and your pursuit for understanding and your questions are the ways in which God is fertilizing you. Because once you ask the question, he's like, oh yeah, here you go. He told us he'd withhold no good thing from us, and that we have not because we ask not. So if you have questions, doubts, or knowledge that you didn't have, that you're going to need to be equipped with, our questions are some of the ways that he fertilizes us. And because a lot of times he doesn't force anything. A lot of, he'll pour into us what we're taking grasp of and what we're seeking. Not just, here, you're going to be a doctor. That's why if you're a parent, don't do that to your kids. Don't say, like, you're going to be an engineer. God doesn't do that. And he created us. We still have to take hold of the thing that, we're naturally inclined to do. And he allows us to go through the journey of that. So those are the different ways that God will fertilize you. And so I want you to think of the things that you need and how God may be trying to fertilize you in this season. And this is the hard part. Remember, in that scripture, he said that, look, I'm going to give this thing a year, right? Sometimes we get impatient during the fertilization process because we're like, man, I'm ready for this baby right now. But you have to, the baby needs some nutrients. Like when a woman's pregnant, that baby don't just come out immediately. No, it needs to develop its brain. It needs to develop its eyes, its ears. It needs to develop some immunity. Like there's some things that have to happen so that way it prepares to enter into this world in a vulnerable state. And so it's the same thing. Once you say yes, right? Because the hardest part is saying yes to God being your Lord, meaning saying, look, I'll go where you tell me to go. I'll do the thing. That thing you've been stirring up in my belly, the thing that I just keep putting off, I'll do it. When we say I'll do it, we're ready to go down the aisle tomorrow. And he's like, nope, we need to go through a courtship. I need to take you through a process to where you're going to learn the things that you need. I need to redeposit some of these nutrients. We gotta get your nest back, your happiness, your joyfulness, your mindset, your intelligence-ness, whatever all the words are, right? The wisdomness. We got to get all of those things back so you can be prepared to really take hold of that thing. And so don't lament that. Embrace it and ask yourself, how is God trying to fertilize me? What habits have I been missing that he's putting, into me? And just remember, God said he'll withhold nothing good. So if you feel like something is being withheld, ask yourself, is there something about this thing that's not good for me? Or if I'm in this waiting period, is God fertilizing me in this period? And so I hope that this helps you to improve your patience and to embrace the process. You don't want to just get thrown about on your journey. We want you to be on that journey and to produce fruit. But before you can produce fruit, you got to go through this fertilization period. So thank you guys. And this goes without saying, like this, comment, share, follow, and comment where the areas you believe God is fertilizing you and how you're going to apply this to your life. And hopefully you can be in perfect peace and have patience and all the things that you need so you can be fruitful this upcoming season. Bye.